with it actually has like a video editing capability for those of you looking to get into YouTube because we're professionals.
Alright, so but enough about
the novel crop tool is just the amazing technology of the 21st century.
Alright, enough of ragging on our bread and butter. Let's
What?
I don't know. Let's introduce ourselves. I'm Pandjoro, level 100. Look at me and my Snuggie.
We'll call him Zero, though.
Yeah.
So no one gets confused. I'm that one guy.
I'm ATP.
I'm Big Boy Caleb.
And together we are the Thundercats. But,
Go!
Sometimes.
So today we're doing a D&D campaign, and we have a game master over here. And wait. Do you want me to do it?
Was it a plan for me to do it?
Yeah, I thought since this is if you would do it because you got the better
I mean, I've had a campaign in mind for a while, so I guess I can.
All right, we're gonna call this one "Curious Mistakes," which fits now.
I thought it was the. I swear that wasn't the original title. Curious Misadventures. Just a Zero can't be right for once.
As always.
I was about to say, that's not a for one situation.
I like how the video is literally, if you look at it, it's just part of Pandjoro's head. You can't even see.
Alright. So, let's see. If you guys were to save a life, would you rather intervene before death or after? Zero?
I would rather do it after because of the great feeling of futility. I almost said fertility.
Huh. Well, maybe.
That would be a horrible mistake.
I guess it depends on how the person was.
Dead. They're dead.
So, I think I'd rather intervene beforehand because then they'd be dead.
Beforehand? And Big Boy?
Well, that would all depend.
Well, in this case, alright, I guess let's set up the scene here for us. We live in the futuristic ancient society of the dwarves, in this case. We are all dwarves, I hate to tell you.
Yay!
Crap.
I'm a really tall midget.
And the two factions in this particular scene, or this particular story, are the necromancers and the clerics. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that your classes are necromancer or cleric, but the distinction here is that the necromancers believed in their ability to save life after it was dead, and that most of the best intervention came after the body had passed its prime, and in fact returning the spirit after death to a new container in which to hold it.
So they'd be
better container.
So they'd be young. Okay, I'm on board with that one then.
I wasn't paying attention to half of it.
Amazing. Anyways, meanwhile, the dwarven clerics believe that the original container for the soul is in fact its most pristine, and so it must be preserved, because as anyone can tell you, you don't want to rely on other things for your life. You want to be able to make the best use of what you start with. And so they believed in basically saving the life before it was gone and healing the body while they could. And the time that we're looking at is the critical juncture where these two factions went from peaceful coexistence and striving towards a symbiotic goal, towards in fact conflicting viewpoint, and the Great War that led to the demise of an entire civilization. So once again I have to ask, save someone before death or after death?
After.
I would go after.
Alright, so
not because I wasn't paying attention and went with the majority though. I would like to point that out.
Alright. So today we join our party at the bar. This is a religious faction that serves the dwarven necromancers. Not to say that everyone here is a necromancer, but they believe in the teaching of the necromancers as a whole. Do you guys have any particular races you wish to roleplay here?
I thought we were all dwarves.
You're all dwarves. I'm sorry, did I say races? I meant classes.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. No.
Really?
I don't know, but I kind of want to be a blacksmith.
A blacksmith? Okay.
Racist.
That's not really a class, but I'll accept it. What are your weapons as well?
Well, actually, if you were to try and classify a blacksmith, if he were to fight, he'd be more of a barbarian class.
I assume he also wields a hammer.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. The only weapon in my mind is a piece of rope. Can I use that?
Yeah, you can, of course.
Darn right I will.
Ninja Gimli.
All right, Ninja Gimli. So you have an axe?
Oh no, I was saying
Ninja
she was a
throwing
ninja.
stars?
And I'm not racist, I'm stereotypical.
Okay.
That's probably pretty true.
All right.
All right.
So the four of you are sitting at a.
Wait, I didn't say mine.
What?
I was
I
making
thought
fun
you
of
said Ninja Gimli.
No, I was making fun of you because you're only using a rope.
That's not a ninja.
Yes, it is. Ninjas
No,
use
it's
ropes.
not.
Ninjas use ropes all the time.
By the way, do you have a
Okay.
profession in the society that you're currently residing in? I'm asking for a friend. Purely a
What?
cursory interest.
What?
What?
I mean, if you use a lot of rope, I mean, there has to be a reason for you to have a lot of rope on your person.
She's a rogue.
It's a kink.
Okay, I'm not one to judge. Alright. 0.
Bard.
A bard. Very well. Alright, so as I mentioned, the four of you are sitting at the table in a tavern. There's Big Boy. There's Big Boy. There's ATP. There's Zero, and there's our friend.
Panda.
The panda.
Alright, there's our friend Pandjoro, who happens to be the leader of our congregation. And it's this night that we have just left congregation at what is probably a life-saving discovery for the necromancers. Honestly, something novel that has been long overdue in being explained. And we have just learned about it, and we were celebrating it at the inn.
I'm sorry, I just need to comment on the fact that he put a bottle under his chin and tried to drink.
Yeah, I saw. It was a moment.
You are some kind of idiot.
So it's been a night and a half, and Pandjoro is getting ready to leave, and just as he makes his way out the door,
For you to DM at some point.
just as Pandjoro makes his way out the door, you all hear a scream from outside.
I would not be a good DM.
Yeah, we're looking at your comments right now.
I would either let them off easy or be completely savage and they'd all die.
That'd be kind of funny.
You hear a scream from outside, but I suppose that's fine.
I suppose that's fine.
I suppose.
So wait, we just hear someone scream and we're like, you know what? Screw it. If they die, we'll help them.
Pandjoro just left. Presumably, if one were to put two and two together, one could assume that Pandjoro was the source of the scream. Indeed, the voice sounded like it was his, but I'm not one to tell you how to live your lives.
So, I was making them scream with my sick licks.
Possibly.
Being the good blacksmith I am, I will investigate.
Big Boy the hero. As you step outside, you see Pandjoro, ravaged, lying on the ground. His entrails just leaking over the asphalt of your underground cave system. And he looks like he's not going to make it, to be honest. But he grabs you by the collar, just as his last living act. And he says to you, the clerics are... They're rebelling. You have to find the artifact. You have to make sure it doesn't fall into their hands.
Medic!
Are you supposed to sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Is that
do I sound like that? I don't.
Yeah,
think
you kind of did.
Well, in any
Blard.
case, such is the end of Pandjoro, and Pandjoro bleeds to death before Big Boy's eyes.
Big Boy, how upset are you?
You see, like a...
Well, I know he's coming back.
What?
Is he though? Like, just because the necromancers preach that they save people after their death, doesn't necessarily speak to their efficacy.
Yes, but if I am indeed a follower of them, blind religion.
Certainly, but he did warn you that you have to keep the relic from falling into the hands of the clerics. The clerics will strike on the
I'm just saying, I'm not too
tonight.
upset because if I'm believing in the clerics as a religion, well then obviously not the clerics, but the necromancers, obviously I'm going to believe he's going to be okay.
Certainly, unless the cult gets wiped out tonight.
You asked me what my feelings toward it was. I was explaining.
Very well, very well.
Of course I'm going to run off to wherever the head is and try and warn them.
The head? Who's the head in
the
this
head necromancer,
crisis?
whatever.
I mean, there's your congregation, but your congregation was headed up by Pandjoro tonight.
Oh, that's right.
Pandjoro is
I forgot that little detail.
very unfortunate.
Well, bar's full, obviously. So I can run back in and scream that he's dead.
Are you gonna be like flailing your
There's a sudden
dwarf arms. He's dead.
There's a sudden stop in the music. Perhaps a couple last notes from Zero's. What do you play?
Lute.
There's a couple last notes from Zero's lute as he fails to grasp the severity of what has happened. But everyone looks at you before finally one patron near you goes, Who's dead? Dead?
The guy that was just in here talking to you.
He was talking to you. This is the bar. Like, he was sitting at your table. It was just the four of you, really. Like, you came from a congregation outside. Not everyone here is from the same congregation, I'll have you know. You can't just...
You never mentioned that.
That's true. That's true. I didn't bother to take the time to say that everyone in the bar was not part of your congregation. But it's true. Not everyone is.
People have other beliefs, big boy.
In fact, there may be clerics about as well. And in fact, some people who may believe something entirely different, not likely that they would speak their minds in such company. But
I'm just saying, all you mentioned is that Pandjoro was heading up the congregation and we were in a full bar, so I assumed he was preaching in the bar.
You know, that's wise. They are dwarves.
Why would other people gather in certain areas? But I guess if it...
Unfortunately, that is not the case here. You came from a church downtown, so alas, you're close to that church. But Pandjoro was the head of it. You came after not communion, but after the congregation to catch a couple of beers, and this is the sad situation you find yourself in now.
Well, there has to be a law enforcement official around.
There is, actually.
Well, then I would probably go talk to them.
Or at least I guess there should have been. But they seem very, very suspiciously missing. It's almost like uncanny how not present the law enforcement is at this moment.
It's sketchy.
As if some sort of coup was going down.
I'm gonna go grab ATP.
That seems wise from my unbiased perspective.
Were you the only one that saw Pandjoro's death?
Right?
I mean, I wasn't paying attention during half of it.
I can't help that, but I can say surely that there were not a lot of other people out on the street at the time.
What?
It's a shame that your friends are just too caught in their drink to really care about another life. Just tragically cut short.
Yeah, you come up to me, I guess.
You all suck.
Is Pandjoro a ghost now?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I grabbed you. I took you out there.
What do you want? Wait. I kick him. I kick him to make sure he's really, truly dead.
As Big Boy leads you outside and you deliver a savage kick to this recently dead, deceased body, there's no response.
Yep, that's dead. That's
In fact,
pretty dead.
Right?
This man you may have once admired, but maybe you didn't. Maybe you sought after his position. I can't really state to your motivations. He's definitely gone now.
Oh, that is rather sad, I say, looking down at him. And I turn to Big Boy and say, "So what'd you do to him?"
Wasn't me. I look around for clues.
Very wise, as you see like a couple of throwing stars, sure, but then afterwards you notice like sudden stillness in the street as you look around for clues, and not just clues strike your eye, but a certain number of other dwarves who you would recognize as wearing raiments that would most likely be attributed to clerics, headed very purposely towards your direction. That's just one or two, and they can't mean trouble, but at the same time, like...
Sense motive!
I mean, the motive here seems questionable. I mean, how can one really determine what the motive is with the way they grip their weapons? And in fact, I'm not sure you've ever seen them really being so well armed, but it's hard to say what they really intend.
Nudge to get attention and motion toward the people advancing on us with weapons.
I've got this rope.
You really need a sense motive when they're attacking you. They weren't attacking us.
Oh, they're not attacking them yet.
Yeah, they're just walking towards us.
Menacingly. You can see that they're a couple blocks away still. And they're really being nonchalant with how often they're like palming the hilts of their blades. Or one's carrying a mace, the other's got a blade. He seems itching for blood for some reason, but that's just my perspective.
That's your perspective?
Yeah, my unbiased perspective. Okay. I don't know what you guys see.
Seeing in two directions at once is not OP.
What?
What's not OP?
I'll tell you later. Yes, it is. It's very OP. Okay. Oh God, what do I do with my one rope? I look around and see if there's anything to help in our fight.
I mean, it's hard to see how you define help. I mean, there's certainly
against clerics.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly like the odd number of oddities that are very distinct for a dwarven city, like because you're always underground. A rope user like you may see it as being beneficial that there's so many lampposts about for which to wrap your rope around. There are also like a number of alleyways to duck into. Like you don't think that you could really count on bar patrons to aid you in a fight. You think maybe a certain song of inspiration might be good here and there. But as to what might actually help, I mean, like, you might just want to go home and wait out the night, but you don't know what.
Okay.
Well, by now Zero knows me well enough to know me when I whistle. So I'm going to whistle for Zero to get his ass out here.
I'm also going to turn to you and say, I think we should get Pandjoro away from this.
I'm fucking dead.
Alright, so in the bar, the noise is slowly returning, but not quickly enough for you, Zero, to hear that there's a very distinctive whistle, which you are quite familiar with, coming from Big Boy.
I am not a product of Blizzard.
Zero and, I zoned out for a second. Is Zero and Pandjoro different people now?
Yes!
God damn it!
You fool.
Bro, you literally thought you were going to be dead this entire game?
Yes!
What is wrong with you?
I don't know. Many things?
Oh, yeah. That
goes he kills people and eats feet, that's a couple
I thought we were supposed to make references in this. Anyways,
so, no, we can't quote.
You hear this whistle coming from your friend. You're quite familiar with it. He's used it on a number of occasions. Usually not very dire. I think he's been known to exaggerate, but what do I know?
You don't know me.
I don't know you. You
Aye! Quit your whistling over there. I don't want to hear it.
Hey, help me move this panda guy into the bar.
Obviously.
What happened to Pandjoro?
Get your ass out here and find out.
I'm on the loo.
No, you're not.
He is distinctly not on the loo.
Okay,
He is,
fine.
however, pissing on a stool.
So, while you guys are having this seemingly distracted moment, the clerics sense that somehow the element of surprise was lost, and they make they're not hiding in any way now the weapons that they're going to clearly be using on you. Which is to say, in short, that they've drawn their weapons and are advancing.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm going to do exactly what I want to do at this point. I'm going to tie my rope around Pandjoro, and I'm going to start moving him inside. He's important!
I'm not suggesting that that's not the easiest way to do it, and therefore you do it successfully.
Yay!
I mean, there's nothing wrong with just simply dragging him by the foot, but you can rope him into the bar as well.
Holy crap, is that a Pandjoro? Why is he dead? You weren't lying. Give me that loot. I'm also a bard.
Yes, indeed. Such things are fairly uncommon that someone has come in dead. Like, you're pretty certain the necromancers up at the church might be able to fix this, but it's anyone's guess, as they haven't seen someone actually murdered in quite some time.
I mean, why would they? Alright, so, what are we going to do about this? Also, what was he screaming about?
Yeah.
So he's just pissing. Are you pissing around out there?
Yeah.
The one who was screaming was Pandjoro. He was whistling.
Oh.
Yeah, he whistled to you.
Oh. What was he whistling about out there?
To get your ass out here.
How can you hear me?
At this point, you are now in combat range with these clerics, one of whom takes a swing at you, but thankfully misses. The other takes a swing at you, but you somehow manage to block. The one with the mace, of course. You just...
Well, I do have my hammer.
That's probably how you managed to block. And I assume you gave them more than you got, right?
I would hope so.
Well, you tell me.
I'm gonna aim for the balls.
Of which one? There are 4 balls here, let me say.
So there's only 2 people.
Which one's closer?
Unless dwarves have more or less. You know, I
let's
haven't considered
just,
that.
Let's just make them more badass.
They're both on top of you, so to speak.
Ooh,
Oh my.
very kinky.
But
in what sort of configuration? Is one to one side and one to the other? Or is
let's say both of... One is like to your... let's see. So 12 o'clock is straightforward, right? So one is like at 11 and one is at 1. But they've pushed you past the doorway of the bar. So if someone were to exit the bar, they'd be behind them now. But you're also in line with like one of the bar windows. So just options here. There's also across the street some sort of shop that seems to be closed down for the night. And in fact, they've barred their windows as if they knew something bad was going to happen.
Well, I'm a blacksmith, so I have
Of
a few
course.
blacksmithing tools with me.
Of
That
course.
includes horseshoes. I'm gonna throw one.
I mean, sure you can, but as you go to throw one, it just so happens that you're in melee range. So, are you like just standing your ground and throwing it, or are you backing up some more?
I'm throwing it at the window and then jumping out the window when it shatters.
You're outdoors. The window is
Jumping in the window then.
okay. Very well. So
Grammar's
you break
important.
open the window
Yeah.
and jump in just as one takes another swipe at you, and that one with the sword catches you a little bit by the shin, but it's not any damage that would prevent you from even walking. The light kiss of a sword.
Wait, so when he busted through, I know physics doesn't really work like this, but when he busted through the window, did shards of glass happen to fall out?
Well, that is why I threw the horseshoe instead of just jumping
I thought you went through the window.
No, I threw a horseshoe through the window and then jumped in it.
By the way, that's mad hops for a dwarf.
That's true, though.
You're like the Michael Jordan of dwarves.
This is a dwarven city. Our windows are going to be lower.
Oh,
yeah. He does have a point. Well done. So you jump into the window, and Zero and ATP, at this point you see your friend Big Boy jumping in through the window, and you see what looks like the glint of steel catching a little glimmer of street light just as it swings right behind him.
I'm going to start playing a melody.
Start or stop?
What the heck?
Start.
You hear a very upbeat, very romanticized melody about great warriors and their accomplished feats. In fact, it might be
through the fire and the flames.
It might be that, or it might be the song that Ichigo played when he took on Byakuya the first time. It's hard to say for sure, but it really gets your blood pumping, and you feel like you could take on another 3, maybe 4 clerics easily.
I'm using Inspire. That's what he's saying here.
I'm going towards that metal thing.
Metal thing.
Yeah, you said there was a glint of metal thing that.
Oh no, that was the.
That was the
sword.
Yes, that was a glint.
That was
of
the thing that gave
sword.
Big Boy the kiss.
Okay, fine. Then I'm gonna go and attack all of these.
With your.
With my rope.
Okay, tell
me.
You
could always use Pandjoro's body. I mean.
I don't want to use Pandjoro's body. They could want Pandjoro.
Stop disgracing our leader.
Now, I wouldn't want you to use Pandjoro's body, but he
do you
does
want me
have
to rip his arm off and just beat him with the... I'm going to do that.
Now, his arm's not loose enough for you to rip it off, but he does have a dagger on his belt if you want to use that to loosen the ligaments of his arm, if that's what you're feeling.
Or, you could tie the rope to the dagger.
What?
You could tie the rope to the dagger and, swing
Make
it
a Kurosami.
I'm going to take the dagger and I'm going to cut off his arm. When his arm is off, I'm going to stick the dagger in my back pocket, but then also still use the rope.
Now, allow me to present this situation for you, okay? You just managed to cut off his arm, which is something grisly to be sure. When
a grizzly bear?
When
a panda bear.
When you catch in your peripheral vision the glint of what could only be cleric-like armor from behind you, from inside the bar.
Horseshoe!
What?
Someone came up behind you wearing cleric armor, which you're pretty sure is what that is.
I'm going to turn and beat him with the bone end of the arm.
Very well. You strike the other
I aim for the eyeball.
You strike the other bar patron who happens to be in cleric garb with a part of mailed shoulder. You strike true, knocking the poor patron off balance and indeed onto his ass.
Oi! What the hell?
Perhaps feeling inspired by Zero's song,
don't put this on me.
You have the opportunity to perhaps knock him unconscious or otherwise finish the job.
I sit on his throat. What do you want?
Wait, are you still a female?
I'm gonna go with no.
Oh, that's worse. You're teabagging him.
Balls in his throat.
So as ATP, as you straddle the disoriented clerk, he speaks. Tonight this nefarious cult will come to an end, and clerics shall rule the day.
Oi!
That one guy's accents through his already thick accent.
I can't do accents well at all. Please forgive me.
No,
Oi,
you're actually.
He's speaking some heresy. Snuff him out with your balls.
Zero has presented you with an option.
I stick the bone end of the arm down his throat.
Aye! What are you doing? It's bad enough. Actually, you know what? That's probably some good revenge.
Yeah.
You like that?
You suggested sticking my balls down his throat.
It's full of nutrition.
So he visibly gags at this, as it is disgusting, and it looks like he's about to vomit, honestly. But There are other matters to consider as well, as 2 other clerics are climbing. Looks like it puts him out, but the one with the mace is, like, it catches him in the helm, and he seems like he's still quite good to go. But it looks like you're running low on ammo there. 1 more, maybe. You'd have to tell me for sure, because I'm not sure.
I do also have nails I can throw. That I have a lot of.
Yeah, nails? How effective would those be?
It depends on how hard you throw them.
I suppose. I mean, I'll gauge.
I mean, for all they know, I could have planted nails as I fell through the window.
That's true. I had not considered that. And as you have not informed me, it seemed like not an oversight on my part, but on yours. But I'll consider it in the future. Zero, did you mean to contribute, or are you just playing your song here?
I'm just inspiring them, but if those clerics get too close, I'm gonna take my loot and bash one over the head.
You lazy git!
The innkeeper shouts from across the what do you call it? The bar, I guess. Just, hey, we don't want any trouble, yeah. This is an expensive establishment to run. Oi, take it
They're
outside.
starting it, and you bought this place for 50 pence.
You could deal with a few new bar stools if it's expensive.
You know what? Hold on. Do I know a sonic blast thing? Like, one of those note hits that hurts people's ears?
You probably don't, but there are a number of bard spells that have been great. Like, bards have seen a kind of renaissance in the dwarven empire since the establishment of these religions. In fact, a whole lot of things have been developed, so you probably know a number of attack spells.
Alright, I'm going to play an attack song. This one is called The Song for the Weekend.
Could you describe to me what its effects are?
Its effects are to confuse.
Very well. I mean, that sounds like something effective, actually. And in fact, like, when you look over at the other bar patrons that look like they might menace on you, it seems to have the desired effect, as they draw hidden daggers that you didn't even know they had, and suddenly they're on each other. Oh. They're grappling each other, they're trying to wrestle the daggers away from one another, and they're punching each other, and they're screaming something about necromancers and how they're going to perish tonight, and how, in fact, one of them will someone's going to grasp the claw of Torag and bring salvation to his people tonight.
What?
I take one of my many nails and my hammer and drive a nail into the back of somebody's neck.
I just want to say we're opening up this pit very nicely.
Wow.
Now, there's not a neck that's still enough for you to successfully do this. There are certainly those 2 dwarves that are grappling, but I wouldn't say that they're still enough for you to approach and strike them that easily. Worse yet, like, you have your own problems to deal with. There's a mace swinging at your head, and you
I didn't hear that part.
Of course not. You were busy thinking about how you could drive the nail into someone's head, and it's only by the strangest luck that he takes you in the shoulder instead of the head. But you are bloody.
As I'm going down, I drop kick him.
I guess you make a sweeping kicking gesture, but it flies wide, and you catch him a little bit on the hand, but it doesn't seem to do anything.
It's much like your real life kicks.
So Zero, you confused big boy. You sought to strike someone over the head, but were instead struck yourself. ATP.
Let's see. So, did I end up killing that guy?
Remind me how. Oh, because you're still shoving the arm down his throat. You know what? You've definitely driven him towards unconsciousness.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's because you've suffocated him, or if he chose that as preferential to choking on someone's arm. Hard to say, but tell me more.
I feel like a cleric would not want to choke on bloody bone stem.
Yeah, probably not.
Right, Pandjoro? Oh, yeah.
Armless Pandjoro. We'll call him Pandjoro One Arm.
One arm panda. Is you're hugging his head. Well,
he's already dead.
It's true. That's weirder.
Spine whip.
And you ripped off his arm.
I needed a weapon that wasn't rope. This was a poor choice.
You could just like wait until they attack and you wrap around their hands. Fucking throw them.
I'm gonna go to
Stop.
where the others are fighting, and I'm gonna start using my rope as almost like a whip.
The two that are grappling, or the others, meaning Big Boy and his friend?
Grappling.
Okay. You go to the clearly incapacitated grappling dwarves, the ones who are otherwise preoccupied and are no threat to you, and you start whipping them with your rope. Not too much effect, I might add. They clearly seem immune to your lashes. It's just rope
Wait,
after
the
all.
dwarves or the clerics?
The clerics are dwarves, but
Everyone's a dwarf.
everyone's a dwarf.
Okay.
But you start flailing them with your rope. Meanwhile, on the other side, there's another mace swing coming at Big Boy, which he sees coming readily, and he, I assume you roll out of the way, but correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yes, I roll out of the way.
Of
And
course.
as he misses, I will drive a nail into his wrist.
So I'm not sure how you're managing this, and in fact, it seems like an almost lucky grab. You had this nail between your forefinger and your middle finger.
Well, I was about to go put it to someone's neck when I got hit.
Of course, and I thought you dropped it, but I guess you managed to hold on to it so well that you went and grabbed the mace hand as it was flying past you, and you stabbed that wrist with the nail, and that particular wound makes it pretty hard to hold on to a weapon, I would say. So,
Well,
which
not to mention the fact that we're by a wall, probably made of wood.
Sure.
So I probably nailed his arm into the wall.
He thinks he's Hercules.
I don't see that happening. You'd need
That's a long nail.
Yeah, it is. I'm a blacksmith.
that aside.
That's all
I just don't see how you managed the level of precision to actually get that to succeed.
I'm a dwarf. I fight a lot.
Fight, yes, but with precision, no.
You're also a blacksmith. That's not exactly a fighting class.
It's,
It's
I
more
mean,
of
it's
a-
not a
Well,
fighting
you have to
class
know your
per
way
se,
around
but
the weapons.
in a city, that's nonetheless, I gotta
I
say,
did mention class would technically be barbarian.
yes, but I gotta say, this particular endeavor has not been fruitful. You do not manage to even strike the nail which you have managed to embed in his wrist, let alone get it up against the wall. Let me perhaps describe this a little better. He is menacing over you. Sure, he's close to a wall, but he's not adjacent to it by any means. And you are on the floor. You haven't gained your feet. So you've managed to grasp his wrist, his mace wrist, and in doing so, you've driven the nail in, which the nail was already in your hand. But you haven't, you can't pin that hand against the wall and hit it with a hammer at the same time. However,
Pull it to the floor and nail it to the floor.
you can pull it to the floor, I suppose. But dwarves are known to be sturdy, and this one's not bending over quite low enough to touch his toes, if you know what I mean.
Wow, I hope the mic was good enough to
I
pick that
hope
up.
not.
Dude, that was... Oh, it smells immediately.
Please, no. So, while... So, while you attempt that endeavor, and Zero's confusing the shit out of some dwarves, which that was but a momentary chord. It took merely a fraction of your concentration, leaving you free to do as you please with the rest of this night.
Well, now I feel like playing a song of paralysis.
Storms.
Paralysis, you say? Well, tell me more about this.
Well, this song of paralysis is going to be called,
Who's the original artist?
the original artist is a dwarf named
Led Zeppelin.
Flew Glagman, and he
I've heard of him.
and it's called the Immigrant Song.
Boy, are you gonna be disappointed when you find out. You know, Flew Glagman was known for many things, but he met a very, very poor end towards the end of his career when they found out that he wasn't really the author of any of his songs. What he did was he was really good at one song in particular, the song of Erasing Memory, and he would just take other people's songs and pass them off as his own and then erase their memories.
Oh,
really?
Right? The Harry Potter approach.
So did I just...
So the point being, like, something in Hugh Laughlin's... Was that his name? Hugh Laughlin?
Hugh Laughlin, yes.
Yeah, something in Hugh Laughlin's...
Hugh Laughlin, I think.
In his transcripts did not translate correctly. Perhaps it was his lack of personal mastery with it. And in such... your song fell upon deaf ears. It had no effect.
The bloody hell is that shite?
Oi!
The song sounds passing fair, but it's not magical.
Oi! I don't want to hear it.
Learn better stuff.
Okay, fine. I'll play. Can I play another song, or is that not okay?
I mean, let's see if ATP has anything that she wants to do before you play another song.
If anything, you can just enjoy my tunes, you ruthless cunts. Oh,
very well.
Boo!
I have a feeling ATP is about to lose her rope.
I mean, there are still some confused gnomes or dwarves. I'm so sorry. Please tell me more.
My rope.
What is your next move?
Okay, what did I do? I was
You were
beating
whipping
people.
some dwarves.
Yeah, I was whipping some dwarves. So, upon seeing there was no effect really to them, I realized that I had Senor Pandjoro's dagger.
Now, I hate to also put things into perspective when clearly the perspective is so clear from your eyes, but these two seem fairly well occupied, whereas Big Boy is also fairly well occupied in his own problem, and if these two kill each other, it's no skin off your back, but if Big Boy might be a friend, I don't know.
Is Big Boy my friend in real life and in D&D life?
It's hard to say, that's up to you. But do tell me more.
Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to choke the one. I'm going to lasso the one, try to get it around his neck and just choke him.
Yes, well, he seemed to have the upper hand for the moment, which made it really easy to lasso his neck. And just as the dwarf under him loses consciousness, up right at his throat, there you are. And just like that, there he goes.
Yay!
He
And
did.
Not dead, he's just suffocating.
So apparently we're not killing people.
I mean, you can be. You gotta tell me if you are. I'm just an innocent spectator.
Are you a bartender?
No, I'm not a bartender. I'm
Are you an ant?
He's God, and he could stop this at any time.
I'm just wondering, like, so, it seemed as though the target over you stuttered briefly as the music around you changed, but it seemed like it was just your imagination. And he dropped his mace, obviously, because there was a nail through his mace hand, but his other one worked perfectly fine, well enough to drive a solid punch right into your gut.
Oh.
And as he does this, you reply by...
Me?
No, Big Boy.
Well, obviously that's going to hurt like hell.
Yeah, but it also does bring him closer to the floor.
I'm going to swing for his head.
Okay.
With the hammer, the spiky end.
Ow.
Why does a blacksmith's hammer have a spiky end?
It's to pierce those square holes in the metal pieces.
Oh,
nails.
you know what?
Oh, I thought you were going with, like, the hammer on one end, the spike part on this end, and then the spike on top.
Yeah, you know, that really sucks, and it would hurt a lot more if he didn't have those cheek plates on his helm, you know, but...
Yeah, but this spike is made for piercing metal.
Sure, but it's not, like, it's a lot harder to pierce metal that's not set in place, like metal that can freely move, like on someone's head. That can't be pierced as easily as metal on your anvil, So, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still disorienting as fuck, and he just stumbles over you and nearly falls over. But, manages to keep his footing still.
Even though he's being choked?
He's not done being choked.
You didn't save me?
She was dealing with 2 other bar patrons, I'll have you recall.
I thought I was dealing with the ones that were... Oops.
Oh, we're having a misconception.
Clearly, the battle is just as confusing in the telling as it is in actual life.
Oh, for sure. Let me lay out the scene again. There are a number of tables nearby, and most of the bar patrons have withdrawn to one corner or another. But some bar patrons are very clearly members of the cult of the clerics, and those bar patrons seem to have a doubt for you guys who are just as clearly members of necromancers. And those particular clerics were ensnared by Zero's spell. And in being ensnared by Zero's spell, ATP managed to get the upper hand on one of them, who had choked out his friend, and that's the one who's being suffocated. Meanwhile, your particular nemesis are the ones who you met outside.
So they followed you in.
So, just a little side note outside of this for just a moment. ATP.
What?
I just reached into the back of this couch while scratching my back, and I found an eye.
What?
That's my observer's mark. That's how I see everything.
It is an eye from a stuffed animal.
That's what makes
What have you been doing?
Killing Pac-Man mostly.
Oh, perhaps I should point out that the roof and the outer walls of this
couch came from
inn.
one of my other roommates, so I have no idea what that